You're too weak, too plain, and too broken to ever be my Luna, Alpha King Damon snarled, his eyes cold as winter steel as he severed our mate bond in front of the entire pack. But what he didn't know was that I was carrying his heir, and this rejection would be his greatest regret. The words hit me like a physical blow, stealing the breath from my lungs. Around us, the blood moon ceremony ground fell silent. 300 wolves watched as their king destroyed me with 6 words and a flick of his powerful hand. I felt at the moment the bond snapped, like a rope pulled too tight, fraying and then breaking with a sound only I could hear. Pain exploded through my chest, radiating outward until every nerve ending screamed. My knees buckled, but I locked them, refusing to give him the satisfaction of watching me crumble. Damon, please, my voice came out small, pathetic even to my own ears. It's Alpha King to you. His jaw was granite, his posture that of a man who'd made his decision and wouldn't be swayed. I, Damon Blackthorn, Alpha King of the Northern Territories, reject you, Sarah Ashwood, as my mate and future Luna. The formal words sealed it. Magic rippled through the air, ancient and unforgiving, severing what the moon goddess herself had created. I pressed a hand to my stomach instinctively, protectively, before forcing it back to my side. No one could know. Not yet. Maybe not ever. The king has made his choice. Elder Marcus's voice boomed across the ceremonial grounds. As is his right under pack law. Damon had already turned away from me, his attention fixed on the woman who'd been standing in the shadows. Vivian stepped into the moonlight like she'd been born for this moment, and perhaps she had. Where I was small and unremarkable, she was tall and striking. Where my wolf was silent and defective, hers was powerful enough that I could feel her dominance from 20 feet away. She was everything I wasn't. Everything a Luna should be. I choose Vivian Hartley as my mate and Luna, Damon announced, his voice carrying across the crowd. She is strong, capable, and worthy of standing beside me. The pack erupted in approval. Of course they did. Who would want a broken Omega as their Luna? I'd been a fool to hope, even for a moment, that the mate bond would be enough. I backed away slowly, one step, then another, trying to disappear into the crowd. But Vivian's eyes found mine, and the look she gave me was pure venom wrapped in a victor's smile. She'd won. She knew it. I knew it. Everyone knew it. I made it to my small cottage on the edge of pack lands before the tears came. They fell hot and fast, and I hated myself for every single one. Crying wouldn't change anything. It never had. My hand drifted to my stomach again, this time staying there. 6 weeks. That's how long I'd known. 6 weeks of hoping that when Damon discovered I was pregnant with his child, everything would change. That he'd see me differently. That I'd be enough. How stupid could one person be? A knock on my door made me freeze. Hope flared stupidly in my chest. Maybe Damon had realized his mistake. Maybe he'd come to apologize, to take it all back. I know you're in there, Omega. Vivian's voice was silk over steel. Open the door. We need to talk. Every instinct I had screamed at me to run, but where would I go? This was my home. My pack. I'd been born here, would probably die here. I wiped my face and opened the door. Vivian stood on my doorstep looking immaculate, not a hair out of place despite the ceremony. 2 of her closest friends flanked her, Melissa and Kara, both warriors, both loyal to her above all else. Congratulations, I managed, though the word tasted like ash. I'm sure you'll make a wonderful Luna. I know I will. She pushed past me into my cottage without invitation, her friends following. But there's a problem. You. I'm not a threat to you. I kept my voice steady. I'll stay out of your way. I promise. You're his fated mate. Vivian's eyes narrowed. Even rejected, that bond leaves traces. Memories. Possibilities. I can't have that. My blood turned to ice. What do you want from me? I want you gone. Leave the pack. Tonight. She examined her nails like we were discussing the weather. Go rogue, join another pack, I don't care. Just disappear. This is my home. The words came out stronger than I felt. I have every right to stay. Vivian moved so fast I didn't have time to react. Her hand closed around my throat, slamming me back against the wall hard enough to rattle my teeth. Melissa and Kara moved to block the door. Let me be clear, Vivian hissed, her face inches from mine. You have no rights. You're a defective Omega that the Alpha King himself rejected. No one will miss you. No one will look for you. I clawed at her hand, gasping for air. My wolf, silent as always, offered no help. Useless. I was completely useless. And if you're thinking about telling anyone about any complications from your time with Damon? Vivian's smile was razor sharp. Don't. I'll know. And I'll make sure neither you nor any potential problem survives. She knew. Somehow, she knew about the baby. Vivian released me and I crumpled to the floor, coughing and gasping. Through watering eyes, I watched her crouch down to my level. You have until dawn to be gone, she said pleasantly. If you're still here when the sun rises, I'll kill you myself. And trust me, Omega, I'll make it look like an accident. They left me there on the floor of my own home, broken and terrified. I don't know how long I stayed there, curled into myself, trying to figure out what to do. Leave and lose everything, or stay and lose my life. My baby's life. The choice should have been simple, but my heart refused to accept it. This was my home. These were my people. Even if they'd never valued me, even if I'd always been invisible, this was where I belonged. But belonging didn't matter if I was dead. I packed what little I owned into a single bag as the moon climbed higher. Clothes, a few personal items, the small amount of money I'd saved. It wasn't much to show for 23 years of life. The pack borders were heavily patrolled, but I knew the weak spots. Every Omega did, we'd used them as children to sneak away and explore. I chose the eastern border, where the forest grew thick and the patrols were lightest. I almost made it. Running away, Sarah? Vivian's voice came from behind me, and my heart sank. I specifically said Dawn. You couldn't even follow one simple instruction. I spun to find her there with Melissa and Kara, all three in fighting stances. How had they found me? Had they been following me all along? I was leaving, I said, hating how my voice shook. Just like you wanted. I changed my mind. Vivian's smile was cruel. Letting you leave means you could tell someone about your condition. That you could come back someday and cause problems. No, this is better. Cleaner. They attacked as one. I tried to fight back, I really did. But I was an Omega facing 3 trained warriors. It was over before it began. Fists and feet connected with brutal precision, driving me to the ground. I curled around my stomach, trying to protect the tiny life growing there even as my own slipped away. Should have stayed in your place, Omega, Kara spat, landing a vicious kick to my ribs. Pain exploded through me. Something cracked. I tasted blood. Make sure she can't crawl back, Vivian ordered. And don't mark her. When they find the body, it needs to look like rogues did it. Body. They're going to kill me. The beating continued until I couldn't feel individual blows anymore, just one constant wave of agony. Blood filled my mouth. My vision blurred. This was it. This was how I died, beaten and broken at my own pack's borders, unmourned and unmissed. I'm sorry, I thought to the child I'd never meet. I'm so sorry. Darkness crept in at the edges of my vision. The last thing I heard was Vivian's satisfied laugh as they walked away, leaving me to die. But then, footsteps. Different ones. Lighter. Someone crouched beside me, and through my fading vision, I saw eyes like liquid silver staring down at me. Beautiful. Inhuman. Well, a male voice said, tinged with surprise and something else I couldn't identify. What do we have here? I tried to speak, to ask for help, but only blood bubbled up. My eyes started to close. Stay with me, the stranger commanded, but his voice sounded far away. You're stronger than you know. No, I wanted to tell him. I'm not strong. I've never been strong. That's why this happened. As consciousness slipped away, something impossible happened. After 23 years of silence, my wolf finally spoke, her voice clear and powerful in my mind. They have no idea what we really are. Then darkness claimed me completely. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 2. 5 years changed everything. I studied my reflection in the floor-length mirror of my suite at the Grand Crescent Hotel, barely recognizing the woman staring back. Gone was the timid, skeletal Omega who'd been left for dead at the pack borders. In her place stood someone else entirely, someone with curves that spoke of health and strength, with hair that gleamed like spun platinum instead of mousy brown, with eyes that held power instead of fear. Mama, are you nervous? I turned to find Kai watching me from the doorway, his small face serious beyond his 4 years. My heart clenched the way it always did when I looked at him. He had Damon's strong jawline, his thick dark hair, but his eyes were mine, that strange amber gold that marked us both as different. Special. A little, I admitted, crouching down to his level. We'd always been honest with each other. This is an important meeting. Alpha Theron says you're the best diplomat in the Eclipse Pack. Kai's chest puffed with pride. He says you could negotiate peace between fire and water. I smiled and ruffled his hair, earning an indignant squawk. Alpha Theron exaggerates. Alpha Theron never exaggerates, a deep voice rumbled from the hallway. Theron himself appeared, filling the doorway with his considerable presence. The Eclipse Pack's Alpha was a mountain of a man, with silver-streaked black hair and eyes that missed nothing. If anything, I undersell your talents, Ambassador Ashwood. Sarah, I corrected automatically, though after 5 years, he still insisted on formality during official business. And flattery won't make this summit any easier. 7 packs, all with competing interests, all dealing with an unprecedented rogue uprising. This could go very wrong, very quickly. Which is why I'm sending my best. Theron's expression softened as he looked at Kai. Young Alpha, your grandmother is waiting to take you to the children's pavilion. Something about teaching you to make those cinnamon cakes you love? Kai's face lit up. Really? Would I lie? Theron's mock-wounded expression made Kai giggle, a sound that never failed to warm me. My son had every reason to be a serious, damaged child, but the Eclipse Pack had loved him fiercely from the moment we'd arrived. He knew nothing of rejection or shame. Only acceptance and joy. After Kai left with his escort, Theron's smile faded. You're sure about this? Returning to the Crescent Realm? Facing him? I'm not here for Damon. I straightened my shoulders, letting my wolf rise close to the surface. She'd been silent for so long, I'd thought her broken beyond repair. But that night 5 years ago, as I lay dying, she'd finally awakened, and she was magnificent. I'm here because the rogue uprising threatens every pack on the continent. The Crescent Realm is strategically positioned. We need their cooperation. And if Alpha King Damon recognizes you? He won't. I'd made sure of that. The transformation from Omega to Platinum Wolf had changed more than my power, it had altered my very scent, my appearance, everything that might trigger his memory. I'm not who I was. Theron studied me for a long moment. No, he agreed quietly. You're not. You're stronger. Better. But Sarah, he paused, choosing his words carefully. Rejected mate bonds never fully sever. Not when they're true fated bonds. There's always a thread, a connection. He may not recognize you consciously, but his wolf will know something. Then his wolf will have to deal with confusion. My voice came out harder than intended. I didn't survive what I survived to let Daemon Blackthorn ruin this summit. Fair enough. Theron moved toward the door, then paused. For what it's worth. I've never seen anyone rise from the ashes the way you did. You're not just a survivor, Sarah. You're a force of nature. Don't forget that when you're in that summit room. The Continental Alpha Summit was held in Crescent Manor, the seat of Northern Territory power. Walking through those massive oak doors felt surreal. I'd never been inside before. Omegas weren't permitted in the main house unless they were serving. Now I entered as an equal. More than equal, as the Eclipse Pack's chief ambassador, I outranked most of the wolves in the room. The summit chamber was enormous, with a circular table large enough to seat representatives from all 7 major packs. Banners hung from the vaulted ceiling, each displaying a pack sigil. I noted the crescent moon of the Northern Territories, the rising sun of the Eastern Coalition, the storm cloud of the coastal clans. And there, directly across from where the Eclipse Pack's banner hung, was the blood rose of Vivian's birth pack. She'd done well for herself. The Eclipse Pack delegation has arrived, the herald announced. Led by Chief Ambassador Sarah Ashwood and Alpha Theron Silvercrest. Heads turned. Conversations died. I felt the weight of dozens of eyes assessing, judging, measuring. Let them look. I had nothing to hide and nothing to prove. Ambassador Ashwood. Elder Marcus approached, the same wolf who'd ratified my rejection 5 years ago. If he recognized me, his expression didn't show it. The Eclipse Pack is legendary for its secrecy. We're honored by your attendance. The honor is ours, Elder Marcus. I kept my voice pleasant, professional. The rogue uprising affects us all. Unity is our only path forward. Quite right, quite right. He gestured toward the table. Please, take your seats. The Alpha King will arrive shortly. I settled into my chair with Theron on my right and our chief of security, a scarred wolf named Cade, on my left. The Eclipse Pack delegation was small but formidable. We didn't need numbers, we had power and strategy. Other delegations filed in. I recognized some faces from intelligence reports, but most were strangers. Then the doors opened again, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop. Presenting Alpha King Daemon Blackthorn of the Northern Territories, the herald intoned. And Luna Queen Vivian Blackthorn. My wolf stirred, a low growl building in her chest. Easy, I warned her. Not here. Not now. Daemon entered first, and my traitorous heart stuttered. 5 years had only enhanced his brutal handsomeness. He was larger somehow, more commanding, with new scars that spoke of battles fought and won. Power rolled off him in waves, he'd grown stronger. Then Vivian appeared at his side, and I had to lock down every emotion. She looked the same, beautiful, cold, perfect. Her hand rested possessively on Daemon's arm, and the Luna's coronet glittered in her upswept hair. She'd gotten everything she wanted. My mate, my pack, my life. Except for one thing. My son. Vivian's gaze swept the room in that predatory way of hers, assessing threats and targets. When her eyes landed on me, I watched recognition bloom in slow motion. Her face went white, then flushed with rage so intense I could send it from across the room. She knew. But before she could say anything, Daemon's head snapped up. His nostrils flared, and his entire body went rigid. Those winter steel eyes that had once looked at me with contempt now scanned the room with frantic intensity. He was looking for the source of whatever had triggered his wolf. Looking for me, without knowing it. Daemon? Vivian's voice was sharp with concern. Or perhaps anger. What's wrong? He shook his head as if to clear it. Nothing. Let's begin. But as he took his seat directly across from me, his eyes kept drifting in my direction. Not quite seeing me, but drawn nonetheless. The severed bond might not recognize me consciously, but whatever thread remained was pulling at him. Good. Let him feel confused. Let him feel unsettled. Let him feel a fraction of what I'd felt 5 years ago. Elder Marcus called the summit to order. We gather in dire times, he began. The rogue uprising has claimed 17 packs in the past year alone. Entire bloodlines eliminated. Territory borders collapsing. This is unprecedented in our history. Because it's coordinated, I spoke up, my voice carrying clearly. These aren't random attacks by desperate rogues. Someone is organizing them. Training them. Arming them with weapons that can kill even the strongest wolves. Damon's head turned fully toward me now, his gaze intense. Ambassador Ashwood, is it? You seem very certain of this. I am certain, Alpha King. The Eclipse Pack has been tracking the uprising for months. We have intelligence that suggests a single entity controlling the rogue forces. Someone with resources and intimate knowledge of pack structures. Ridiculous, an alpha from the coastal clans barked. Rogues are mindless. They can't be organized. Not mindless, I corrected calmly. Desperate. Angry. Resentful of pack structures that cast them out. Those emotions make them vulnerable to manipulation by someone promising revenge and belonging. Theron nodded his agreement. Ambassador Ashwood has personally debriefed 12 captured rogues. They all mention a leader. Someone they call the Shepherd. Murmurs rippled around the table. The Shepherd was a myth, a boogeyman story told to wayward pack members. Except, apparently, it wasn't a myth at all. If this Shepherd exists, Damon said slowly, his eyes never leaving my face, then we need a unified defense strategy. Ambassador, you mentioned the Eclipse Pack has intelligence. Are you willing to share it? Under certain conditions. I met his gaze steadily, refusing to be the one who looked away first. The Eclipse Pack wants a continental alliance. Shared resources, coordinated patrols, asylum agreements for refugees from destroyed packs. Too many are dying because packs won't work together. You're asking us to give up sovereignty, Vivian interjected coldly. To submit to Eclipse Pack authority. I'm asking you to value lives over pride, Luna Queen. I turned to her, letting a hint of my wolf show in my eyes. Platinum met ice blue, and I felt the satisfying moment when she flinched. But perhaps that's asking too much. The temperature in the room plummeted. Vivian half rose from her chair, fury contorting her features. How dare. Vivian. Damon's voice was quiet but absolute. She froze, though anger still blazed in her eyes. He returned his attention to me. You have a sharp tongue, Ambassador. I have an honest one, Alpha King. Forgive me if diplomacy occasionally gives way to truth. I inclined my head slightly. But my offer stands. The Eclipse Pack will share everything we know about the rogue uprising and the Shepherd. In return, we want a binding alliance. One that protects all wolves, regardless of rank or pack affiliation. Even Omegas? The question came from a female alpha I didn't recognize. Even those with defects? Something dangerous flickered through me. Especially them, I said softly. In the Eclipse Pack, we've learned that power comes in unexpected forms. What others dismiss as weakness can be incredible strength, properly trained. We don't cast out our people. We cultivate them. I felt Damon's stare intensify, like he could see through my carefully constructed walls to the truth beneath. His wolf was definitely responding to something. The air around him practically crackled with barely restrained energy. Are you feeling well, Alpha King? Elder Marcus asked with concern. You seem distressed. I'm fine. Damon's jaw clenched. Ambassador Ashwood, perhaps we should discuss these alliance terms privately. After the general session. Of course. I kept my expression neutral even as my heart raced. Being alone with Damon was dangerous. But refusing would raise questions I couldn't afford. Whatever facilitates progress. The summit continued with various packs proposing and debating strategies. I presented the Eclipse Pack's intelligence on rogue attack patterns, carefully omitting sources that might compromise our network. Theron negotiated resource-sharing agreements. Cade laid out proposed patrol coordination. Through it all, I felt Damon's attention on me like a physical touch. His wolf was going mad. I could see it in the way his hands gripped the table, in the tension radiating through his massive frame. Whatever part of him remembered our bond was screaming at him, demanding recognition even as his conscious mind stayed blank. It was Vivian who concerned me more. She watched me like a snake preparing to strike, calculating and cold. She knew who I was. She'd recognized me instantly despite all the changes. Which meant she'd be planning. The question was, what would she do about it? As the session broke for refreshments, Vivian made her move. She glided over with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Ambassador Ashwood, how fascinating to meet you. Tell me, where exactly did you train? The Eclipse Pack is so secretive, we know almost nothing about your people. By design, Luna Queen. I matched her fake smile with one of my own. We value privacy. It keeps us safe. Of course. Her voice dropped lower, meant only for my ears. But some secrets are harder to keep than others. Some might even say, impossible to hide forever. A threat. Subtle, but clear. I find that truth has a way of emerging regardless, I replied equally quietly. Usually at the most inconvenient moments for those who've built their lives on lies. Her face went ugly for just a moment before smoothing back to perfection. I look forward to our continued acquaintance, Ambassador. I suspect it will be very enlightening. She swept away, and I released a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. Kate appeared at my elbow. She recognized you. Yes. Want me to handle it? I considered it. The Eclipse Pack's methods for handling threats were efficient and permanent. But Vivian was a Luna Queen now, protected by law and Damon's authority. Making her disappear would cause the exact international incident we were here to prevent. No, I decided. Let her make the first move. She always does. And if that first move targets Kai? My wolf surged forward, and I knew my eyes flashed platinum. Then I'll tear her apart with my bare hands, consequences be damned. Cade's smile was all teeth. Now that's the alpha I know. Ambassador Ashwood? Elder Marcus approached. The Alpha King requests your presence in his private study. To discuss the alliance terms. Here we go. I straightened my spine, called my power close, and followed Marcus through the manor's winding corridors. We stopped at a massive wooden door carved with the crescent moon sigil. I'll be right outside if you need anything, Cade murmured. Marcus opened the door. Ambassador Sarah Ashwood, Alpha King. I stepped into Damon's study, and the door closed behind me with a soft click of finality. The room was exactly what I'd expected, masculine, powerful, dominated by a massive desk and floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. A stone fireplace crackled with flames. Damon stood at the window, his back to me, silhouetted against the fading daylight. His shoulders were rigid with tension. Thank you for coming, Ambassador. His voice was rough. I needed to speak with you away from the others. Of course, Alpha King. What did you wish to discuss? He turned slowly, and the look in his eyes made my breath catch. Confusion, hunger, frustration, all swirling in those winter depths. That's just it. I don't know. I don't know why I needed you here. I don't know why my wolf is going absolutely berserk right now. And I don't know, he took a step closer, nostrils flaring. I don't know why you smell like home. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 3. The silence stretched between us, heavy with things unsaid. Damon stood too close, his massive frame radiating heat and confusion. That familiar cedarwood scent of his wrapped around me, triggering memories I'd buried deep. You smell like home. The words hung in the air, dangerous and devastating. I forced myself to remain still, to breathe normally, to give nothing away. I don't know what you mean, Alpha King. My voice stayed level through sheer force of will. Perhaps your wolf is simply recognizing my platinum status. We're rare enough to cause unusual reactions. No. He shook his head, taking another step closer. It's not that. I've met platinum wolves before. This is different. You're different. His hand lifted as if to touch my face, then dropped. Have we met before? Before the summit? I don't believe so. I would remember meeting the Alpha King of the Northern Territories. The lie tasted bitter. Now, if you'd like to discuss alliance terms. A knock at the door interrupted us. Cade's voice came through, urgent, Ambassador, we have a situation. Territorial dispute in the negotiation hall. 3 alphas, 1 piece of borderland, tempers running hot. Relief and frustration warred in Damon's expression. We'll continue this later, Ambassador Ashwood. Count on it. Of course, Alpha King. I moved toward the door, grateful for the escape. But as I passed him, his hand caught my wrist, not roughly, but firmly enough that I felt the electric shock of contact straight to my core. You're not telling me something, he said quietly. And I will figure out what it is. I met his gaze squarely. We all have secrets, Alpha King. Some are worth keeping. Then I pulled free and walked out, feeling his stare burning into my back. The negotiation hall was chaos. Alpha Hendrik of the Mountain Pack and Alpha Torrens of the River Pack were seconds from shifting, their wolves visible in their eyes as they snarled at each other across the conference table. Between them, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else, was Alpha Lucia of the Border Pack. The disputed territory sat between all 3 claims. This land has been River Pack territory for 3 generations. Torrens roared. Only because your grandfather stole it from mine. Hendrik shot back. Gentlemen. I didn't raise my voice, but I let my wolf rise close enough to the surface that they felt the pressure of a platinum wolf's dominance. Both alphas froze mid-snarl, their attention snapping to me. Sit. Down. The command in my voice wasn't to be denied. They sat, though fury still radiated from both of them. I moved to the disputed borderland on the map spread across the table. This territory. Tell me what makes it valuable. The river access, Torrens said immediately. Fresh water, fishing, transportation. The mountain pass, Hendrik countered. Only safe route through the northern ranges. And you, Alpha Lucia? What does the Border Pack need from this land? She blinked, surprised to be consulted. Honestly? We need the grazing meadows. Our hunters have been struggling since the rogue attacks destroyed so much prey in our core territory. I studied the map, letting my tactical mind work through possibilities. The room had filled with observers, other alphas, their advisors, and Damon himself, leaning against the back wall with his arms crossed. Here's what I propose, I said finally. The territory gets divided into 3 zones. Alpha Torrens, the River Pack gets exclusive rights to the waterways and fishing. Alpha Hendrik, the Mountain Pack gets the pass and a defensive position at its entrance. Alpha Lucia, the Border Pack gets the grazing meadows. That's not a division, that's barely a sliver for each of us. Hendrik protested. No, it's strategic resource allocation. I traced lines on the map with my finger. You each get exactly what you actually need, not just what you want out of pride or tradition. More importantly, you share responsibility for defending it. Any rogue attack on this territory becomes everyone's problem. You patrol together, fight together, hold it together. A joint territory? Torrens frowned. That's never been done. Which is exactly why the rogues are winning, I said bluntly. They work together while we divide ourselves over scraps of land. This forces cooperation. It builds trust. And it sets a precedent for other disputed territories. Silence fell as they considered it. Then Alpha Lucia spoke. I accept Ambassador Ashwood's proposal. As do I, Hendrik said slowly. Under one condition, the Eclipse Pack helps establish the joint patrol protocols. We can do that. I looked at Torrens. Alpha? He studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Agreed. But I want it in writing, witnessed by all summit attendees. Naturally. I turned to Elder Marcus. Can you draft the formal agreement? Already on it, Ambassador. He was scribbling furiously. Brilliant solution, if I may say so. As the Alphas began discussing logistics, I felt rather than saw Damon approach. He stopped beside me, close enough that our shoulders nearly touched. Where did you learn to negotiate like that? His voice was low, meant only for my ears. That wasn't just skill. That was tactical genius. The Eclipse Pack values all forms of strength, Alpha King. Diplomacy is warfare by other means. I kept my eyes on the map, not trusting myself to look at him. Is that a problem? No. But his tone suggested otherwise. Though I'm curious why your Alpha sent you instead of coming himself. Unless. His eyes narrowed. Unless he knew you'd be more effective. Which raises interesting questions about the power dynamics in your pack. Alpha Theron has nothing to prove, unlike some leaders. I couldn't help the slight barb. He uses his resources wisely. I'm his chief ambassador because I'm good at my job, not because I'm chasing glory. I didn't mean. An explosion shattered the windows. Glass rained down as wolves dove for cover. The smell of smoke and blood filled my nostrils instantly. Through the broken windows, I saw them, rogues, dozens of them, pouring over the manor walls like a dark tide. Breach, someone screamed. Rogues at the south wall. Chaos erupted. Alphas were shifting, their clothes tearing as fur and claws emerged. But something was wrong, some of them were collapsing mid-shift, convulsing and choking. Wolfsbane. Cade shouted from across the room. The explosion released wolfsbane gas. Damon roared orders, already half-shifted into a massive black wolf. His Delta team materialized from somewhere, forming a defensive line. But the wolfsbane was affecting even them. I could see them struggling against the toxin. My wolf surged forward, demanding release. But a full shift would reveal my platinum markings, would risk Damon seeing what I really was. Another window shattered. 3 rogues burst through, their eyes wild and red-rimmed. One of them had Hendrik by the throat, silver-tipped claws digging into flesh. Screw it. I let my wolf explode outward, but only partially, just enough to give me speed and strength while maintaining human form. It was a difficult middle ground, one that required enormous control. My nails became platinum claws, my eyes shifted to their true color, and distinctive platinum markings crawled up my arms and neck. I moved faster than any normal wolf could track, ripping the rogue off Hendrik and hurling him through a wall. The other 2 turned on me, snarling. I ducked under the first's attack, came up inside his guard, and drove my claws through his chest. He turned to ash, the ultimate death for a wolf. The second rogue was smarter. He feinted left, then came at me from the right. But I was already moving, spinning low and sweeping his legs. He went down hard, and I finished it with a precise strike to his heart. More rogues poured in. I lost count of how many I killed, 5, 7, 10. My platinum markings gleamed with power, drawing the rogues like moths to flame. They recognized what I was, even if they didn't understand it. Platinum wolves were myth. Legend. The rarest of the rare. And here I was, cutting through rogues like they were made of paper. Through the chaos, I caught glimpses of Damon in full wolf form, a massive black beast tearing through enemies with brutal efficiency. Our fighting styles complemented each other instinctively. When he drove rogues right, I was there to finish them. When I created an opening, he exploited it without hesitation. We moved like we'd trained together for years. Like we were still connected. Then I saw her. A female rogue, smaller than the others, with a strange clarity in her eyes that the others lacked. She wasn't attacking, she was watching. Studying. And when our eyes met, she smiled. The shepherd sends his regards, Platinum Wolf, she said clearly. Then bit down on something in her mouth. No. I lunged for her, but it was too late. She convulsed once, foam bubbling from her lips, and collapsed. Dead before she hit the ground. Poison pill. She'd chosen death over capture. The remaining rogues began retreating as suddenly as they'd attacked, disappearing into the forest beyond the walls. Within minutes, the assault was over. The negotiation hall looked like a war zone. Blood, both red and ash black, covered every surface. The wounded groaned. The dead lay still. And in the center of it all, I stood in partial shift, platinum markings on full display. Every surviving alpha stared at me. At what I was. What I'd revealed. Damon shifted back to human form, his Delta team tossing him pants. Those winter steel eyes locked onto me with new intensity, new understanding dawning in their depths. Platinum Wolf, he breathed. True platinum. I've only seen drawings in ancient texts. He took a step toward me. Those markings, they're not just rare. They're unique. Individual as fingerprints. Oh no. Which means, he continued, his voice dropping to something dangerous, if I'd seen them before, I'd remember. If I'd ever met a platinum wolf before you, I'd know. He was circling me now, predatory and focused. His wolf was screaming in his eyes, recognition finally breaking through whatever blocks had kept the truth hidden. But my wolf knows you, he said softly. Knows your scent, knows your presence. Impossible, unless. His hand shot out, catching my chin and tilting my face to his. Unless you're not who you claim to be. I jerked away from his touch. Don't. Those eyes. His voice had gone hoarse. That gold amber. I've seen them before. There was an Omega once, years ago. Weak, broken. She had eyes like yours. Alpha King. Sarah. The name fell from his lips like a prayer or a curse. You're Sarah. My rejected mate. The Omega I left for dead. The silence that followed was absolute. Every wolf in the room heard him. Every wolf understood what he'd just admitted. I lifted my chin, letting him see the woman I'd become. I'm not the broken Omega you remember, Damon. She died 5 years ago at the border. I'm what rose from her ashes. His face cycled through a dozen emotions, shock, disbelief, shame, anger. How? Your wolf was silent. You were. A defective Omega? I finished coldly. Yes, that's what everyone believed. Including you. Especially you. Sarah. Ambassador Ashwood, I corrected sharply. Or if you insist on informality, just Sarah. But not, my mate. You severed that bond, remember? In front of everyone. You made your choice very clear. We need to talk. He reached for me again. I stepped back, my wolf snarling in warning. We have nothing to discuss. I'm here on Eclipse Pack business. My personal history is irrelevant. Like hell it is. His alpha power flared, making half the wolves in the room submit instinctively. You were my mate. You disappeared. Everyone thought, he stopped abruptly. Everyone thought you died. There was blood at the border. So much blood. I almost did die. The words came out flat, emotionless. But someone found me. Saved me. Gave me a chance to become what I was always meant to be. I gestured at myself. This isn't a transformation, Damon. This is who I was before someone cursed me to be weak. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Curses were old magic, dark and forbidden. If someone had cursed an Omega bloodline. That's impossible, Elder Marcus said, but he sounded uncertain. We would have detected a curse. Not if it was generational, Theron spoke up from where he stood near the back. He'd shifted back and was watching proceedings with his usual calm intensity. Not if it was placed by someone with enough power to hide it even from elders. Who would do that? Damon demanded. And why? Before anyone could answer, a commotion erupted outside the hall. Shouting, the sound of a scuffle, then. Mama. My heart stopped. That voice. That one voice that mattered more than anything. Kai. The crowd parted as two of Vivian's personal guards dragged my son into the hall. He was fighting them, his 4-year-old frame no match for their strength but trying anyway. My brave, foolish boy. Kai. I moved without thinking, platinum claws extending, ready to kill anyone who dared touch him. But Damon was faster. He positioned himself between me and his Luna's guards, confusion written across his face. What's the meaning of this? Why are you bringing a child into a war zone? One of the guards stammered, the Luna Queen ordered. I ordered them to find this little spy, Vivian's cold voice cut through. She appeared in the doorway, immaculate despite the chaos, her smile pure venom. He was sneaking around the children's pavilion, asking questions. Very suspicious questions about the Alpha King. He's 4 years old. I snarled, trying to get past Damon to reach my son. Let him go. In a moment. Vivian's eyes glittered with malicious triumph. But first, I think everyone should get a good look at him. Really look. She yanked Kai forward, positioning him directly in front of Damon. Under the lights, there was no hiding it, the strong jaw, the thick dark hair, the way his young features echoed the Alpha King's in miniature. The resemblance was undeniable. Interesting, isn't it? Vivian purred. The child is practically your mirror image, husband. Which raises such fascinating questions. Like where, and more importantly, when, Ambassador Ashwood's son was conceived. Damon stared at Kai. At the child who was so obviously his blood. Then his gaze slowly lifted to me, and I watched the math calculate behind his eyes. 5 years since the rejection. Kai was 4. Which meant. No, he whispered. You were pregnant. When I rejected you, when you disappeared, you were carrying my child. The words fell like stones into water, rippling outward. Every wolf in the room understood the implications. An Alpha King's heir, hidden away. The true firstborn. Mama? Kai's voice was small, scared. He didn't understand what was happening, only that something was very wrong. I finally shoved past Damon, my only thought to get to my son. The guards released him, and he ran into my arms. I held him tight, my body positioned between him and everyone else, my wolf snarling in protective fury. It's okay, baby, I murmured into his hair. Mama's got you. You're safe. But we both knew that was a lie. Safe was the last thing we were. Vivian's laugh cut through the tension. Oh, this is perfect. Better than I could have planned. You see, husband, your precious fated mate didn't just survive, she's been hiding your heir for years. Depriving you of your son. Depriving the pack of their prince. That's not, I started, but Damon's hand gesture cut me off. He approached slowly, like I was a wild animal that might bolt. His eyes were fixed on Kai, drinking in every detail of the boy's face. Is he mine? Don't answer that, Theron warned me. Sarah, you don't have to. Yes. The word tore out of me. He's yours. Your son. Your heir. The child I was carrying when you rejected me and your chosen mate tried to kill me. Gasps echoed through the hall. Vivian's smile faltered for just a moment before reasserting itself. Lies, she said smoothly. Clearly Ambassador Ashwood is disturbed. Perhaps the curse affected her mind as well as her wolf. The curse. Elder Marcus was studying me intently now. You mentioned someone cursed your bloodline. If that's true, there would be records. Family histories. There are records, Theron said quietly. We found them when Sarah came to us. Documents going back 3 generations. The Ashwood line was cursed to produce only weak omegas, to ensure they could never rise above their station. He paused deliberately. The curse was placed by a dark witch named Morgana Hartley. I believe that's your grandmother, Luna Queen. The bottom fell out of the room. Every eye turned to Vivian, whose face had gone from triumphant to pale. That's a lie, she spat. My grandmother was a healer, not a dark witch, I finished. Who cursed my bloodline so her granddaughter would have no competition for the Luna position. So I would be weak, pathetic, easily cast aside. So Damon would reject me and choose you instead. Where's your proof? Vivian demanded. In the Eclipse Pack archives. Theron pulled out his phone, tapping rapidly. Which I'm currently having transmitted to every alpha present. Original documents, signed in blood magic, detailing exactly how Morgana Hartley cursed the Ashwood line to serve the Hartley ambitions. Phones around the room began pinging with incoming files. I watched Alpha's faces change as they read, shock and disgust replacing skepticism. You have to understand, Vivian said desperately, turning to Damon. I didn't know. My grandmother died when I was young. If she did this, and I'm not saying she did, but if she did, I had no knowledge. Your guards tried to kidnap my son, I interrupted coldly. On your orders. You recognized me the moment I entered the summit. You knew exactly who I was, what you'd done, and you still came after my child. Because he's not just your child. Vivian's mask finally cracked, revealing the monster beneath. He's the heir. He should have been mine. Everything should have been mine. The confession hung in the air. Damning. Absolute. Damon's voice, when it came, was devoid of emotion. Guards. Arrest the Luna Queen. Charge her with conspiracy, dark magic usage by proxy, attempted murder, and kidnapping. Damon, no. Vivian shrieked as wolves moved to seize her. You can't do this. I'm your Luna. I'm your chosen mate. You're my biggest mistake, he said quietly. And that bond? Consider it severed. The formal words carried the weight of Alpha command, and I felt the magic snap as their chosen bond broke. Vivian's scream of rage was cut short as the guards dragged her from the hall. In the sudden silence, Damon turned back to me and Kai. My son had his face pressed against my shoulder, overwhelmed by the chaos. His small body trembled in my arms. Sarah. Damon's voice cracked on my name. I don't know what to say. What I did to you, what I allowed to happen. Don't. I cut him off sharply. Don't apologize. Don't explain. Don't make excuses. You made your choice 5 years ago. I've made mine since then. He's my son. Mine. The Eclipse Pack raised him, protected him, loved him when your pack would have cast him out like they cast me out. He's my son too, Damon said, and I heard the anguish beneath the words. My heir. My blood. You can't keep him from me. Watch me. I started backing toward the door, toward Theron and Cade and safety. We're leaving. The summit is over for the Eclipse Pack. We'll send our formal alliance terms in writing. Sarah, please. Mama, I'm scared, Kai whispered against my neck. That was all I needed to hear. I held my son close and walked out of Crescent Manor without looking back, leaving Damon standing in the ruins of everything he thought he knew. Behind me, I heard him call my name one more time. Desperate. Broken. I kept walking. But as we reached the parking area where our vehicles waited, Cade's hand on my arm stopped me. Sarah. You know he's not going to let this go. I know. I settled Kai into his car seat, brushing his dark hair from his forehead. But I didn't survive everything I survived just to hand my son over to the man who destroyed me. He's the Alpha King, Theron said quietly. He has legal claim to his heir. Pack law is clear on that. Then Pack law is going to have to change. I slid into the vehicle, my jaw set with determination. Because I'm not the scared Omega anymore. I'm the Platinum Wolf. And no one, not even the Alpha King, is taking my son from me. As we drove away from Crescent Manor, I caught one last glimpse of Damon in the rearview mirror. He stood alone in the courtyard, his powerful frame somehow diminished, watching us leave. Good. Let him feel abandoned. Let him feel the loss of something precious. Let him feel everything I felt 5 years ago, when he threw me away like garbage. The difference was, I'd risen from those ashes stronger. I wasn't sure he could do the same. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 4. I should have known he wouldn't let us leave peacefully. The Eclipse Pack delegation had claimed an entire floor of the Grand Crescent Hotel, far enough from the manor to feel safe, close enough to attend summit sessions. I'd finally gotten Kai settled into sleep after an hour of questions I didn't know how to answer. How do you explain to a 4-year-old that the father he'd never known suddenly wanted to claim him? That the man who destroyed his mother now demanded the right to be called Papa? I was standing at the window of my suite, staring out at the moonlit forest, when I felt him. The displaced air, the surge of alpha power, the scent of cedarwood invading my space. Damon had come. I turned slowly to find him standing in my doorway, not the door to the hallway, but the one that connected to the balcony. He'd scaled 5 stories rather than come through the front like a civilized wolf. Of course he had. Get out. My voice was quiet steel. Kai was sleeping in the next room, and I wouldn't risk waking him. You have no right to be here. I have every right. Damon moved into the room with predatory grace, his size making my spacious suite feel suddenly cramped. You're the mother of my child. My son. My heir. I'm also the woman you publicly rejected and left for dead. I kept my back to the window, refusing to be cornered. The woman your chosen mate tried to murder. Those things don't just go away because you finally pulled your head out of your ass. His jaw clenched. I know what I did. I know what I allowed to happen. And I will spend the rest of my life trying to make it right. I don't want your attempts at redemption, Damon. I want you gone. Too bad. He took another step closer. Because I'm not leaving. Not without answers. Not without. His eyes tracked to the closed door of the bedroom where Kai slept. I need to see him. My son. Absolutely not. My wolf surged forward, platinum marking crawling up my arms. You'll see him when I decide you're ready. If I ever decide that. You can't keep him from me. His alpha power rolled out, a command that would have brought any normal wolf to their knees. Tell me about my son. The command washed over me like water. I felt it, registered it, and completely ignored it. One of the benefits of being a true platinum wolf, alpha commands didn't work on us. We outranked them. Damon's eyes widened in shock. How? Did your command not work? I smiled without humor. Because I'm not some weak Omega anymore, Damon. My wolf doesn't submit to anyone. Not even the Alpha King. I let my power rise to meet his, platinum clashing with his midnight darkness. So if you're planning on commanding your way through this conversation, you're going to be very disappointed. Something shifted in his expression, shock giving way to something darker, more primal. His nostrils flared. Your power. It's incredible. I've never felt anything like it. Then you're lucky the Eclipse Pack found me before someone else did. I forced my power back down, not wanting to risk a full dominance battle with Kai sleeping nearby. Platinum wolves are rare enough that most packs would kill to possess one. Or kill to prevent their enemies from possessing one. Is that what the Eclipse Pack did? Possess you? His voice had gone rough, dangerous. Is that why you're their chief ambassador? Because they own you? No one owns me. The words came out as a snarl. They saved me. Trained me. Gave me a home when I had nothing. They saw my worth when your pack saw only weakness. Because you were cursed. Damon exploded, his control finally cracking. Vivian's grandmother cursed your entire bloodline. How was I supposed to know? You weren't supposed to know. I shot back. You were supposed to trust the mate bond. The moon goddess doesn't make mistakes, Damon. She gave me to you as your true mate, and you threw that gift away because I wasn't pretty enough, strong enough, perfect enough. I was wrong. The confession tore out of him. I was so fucking wrong, Sarah. I see that now. His eyes tracked over me, taking in every change. You're magnificent. Powerful. Everything a Luna should be. Now I am, I said bitterly. But I wasn't then, was I? When I was broken and scared and desperately in love with you? I wasn't worth keeping then. I was an idiot. You were cruel. The words landed like blows. You humiliated me in front of the entire pack. You severed our bond without hesitation. And when I disappeared, covered in my own blood, you didn't even look for me. Pain flashed across his features. I thought you were dead. We found so much blood at the border. I thought, his voice broke. I thought Vivian had someone dispose of your body. And you did nothing about it? I stared at him, searching for any hint of the man I'd once loved. You suspected your chosen mate murdered your fated mate, and you just, what? Moved on. I had no proof. He raked his hands through his hair. Just suspicions. By the time I started investigating, the trail was cold. Vivian's people covered it well. He took a shuddering breath. I should have tried harder. Should have torn apart anyone who might have been involved. But I told myself you were probably better off. That you'd left to find a better life somewhere. I didn't leave, I said flatly. I was beaten until I couldn't walk, then left to bleed out at the border. If not for, I stopped myself just in time. If not for who? Damon pounced on the hesitation. Who saved you, Sarah? Who found you? I said nothing, but something in my expression must have given me away. The silver-eyed stranger, he said slowly. The one who's been hovering around you at the summit. He's more than just a pack member, isn't he? That's none of your business. The hell it isn't. His alpha dominance flared again, this time not as a command but as pure possessive fury. You're my mate. My fated mate. That bond might be severed, but it doesn't change what you are to me. What you've always been. What I've always been. I laughed, the sound bitter. I've been nothing to you, Damon. Less than nothing. A mistake you were quick to erase. That's not true. Then why? The question exploded out of me, 5 years of pain and rage behind it. Why did you reject me? What did I do that was so terrible you couldn't even give me a chance? He opened his mouth, closed it. For a long moment, he just stood there, and I watched him struggle with truths he'd never had to voice. You scared me, he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. The bond with you was so intense. So overwhelming. I felt everything, your fear, your pain, your desperate hope. It was like drowning. And I'm the Alpha King. I can't afford to be vulnerable like that. Can't afford to be weakened by emotions I can't control. So you chose Vivian instead. Someone who could never touch your heart. Yes. The admission seemed to cost him. She was safe. Beautiful, strong, ambitious, but safe. I could control what I felt for her. Could maintain the distance a king needs. His eyes met mine, raw with regret. I didn't realize I was choosing safety over happiness. Power over love. Pride over everything that actually matters. And now? I asked. What do you want now? You. The word was absolute. You and our son. My family. My real mate. He moved closer, close enough that I could feel his body heat. I annulled the bond with Vivian. She's being held for trial. The position of Luna is vacant. Congratulations. I didn't move away, didn't give him the satisfaction of seeing me retreat. I'm sure you'll find someone suitable. Someone ambitious and beautiful and safe. I don't want someone suitable. His hand lifted to my face, and this time I didn't stop him. His thumb traced my cheekbone with devastating gentleness. I want you, Sarah. I want to fix what I broke. I want. It doesn't matter what you want. I pulled away from his touch, ignoring the way my wolf whined in protest. The bond is severed, Damon. You can't just decide 5 years later that you want it back. That's not how mate bonds work. They can be reformed. Not after rejection. I stared at him in disbelief. A true fated bond, once rejected, can never be fully restored. The moon goddess allows us one chance at true love. You threw yours away. The color drained from his face. You're saying we can never, that I can never have you as my true mate again? That's exactly what I'm saying. I watched realization dawn in his eyes, watched him finally understand the permanence of what he'd done. You can take another chosen mate. You can even try to reclaim me as a chosen bond. But the fated connection? That's gone forever. No. He shook his head, denial written across every line of his body. No, there has to be a way. Some kind of magic, some ritual. There isn't. I forced myself to be gentle, though part of me wanted him to hurt the way I'd hurt. What's done is done. But I feel it. His hand pressed against his chest. I feel the pull to you. The need. My wolf is going insane trying to reach yours. That's the echo, I explained quietly. The ghost of what we had. It will fade, eventually. But it's not the same as a true bond. It never will be. I watched something break inside him. The mighty Alpha King, finally understanding the true cost of his rejection. He'd thrown away something irreplaceable, and no amount of power or regret could bring it back. Sarah. My name was a plea. Please. Give me a chance. Let me prove I've changed. Let me be a father to Kai. Let me. A knock at the door interrupted us. Cade's voice came through. Sarah? You have a visitor. Says it's urgent. I moved past Damon to open the door, grateful for the interruption. But when I saw who stood beside Cade, my breath caught. Silver eyes. Tall, aristocratic features. The same man who'd found me dying 5 years ago and given me a second chance at life. Alexandros. His name came out softer than I intended. Sarah. Alpha King Alexandros Silvercrest stepped into the room, his presence somehow filling the space even more than Damon's did. He was older than Damon by perhaps a decade, with silver threading through his dark hair and laugh lines around those remarkable eyes. But the power rolling off him was ancient, absolute. Forgive the late intrusion. I heard there was trouble at the manor today. Nothing I couldn't handle. I was acutely aware of Damon behind me, of the tension suddenly crackling in the air. Alexandros's gaze shifted to Damon, and I watched two Alpha Kings size each other up. They'd never formally met, the Eclipse Pack's leadership remained carefully hidden from the other packs. But there was no hiding now. Alpha King Damon Blackthorn, Alexandros said smoothly. I've heard much about you. Alpha King Alexandros Silvercrest. Damon's voice had gone cold. I wasn't aware the Eclipse Pack's leadership attended the summit. We rarely do. But these are unusual circumstances. Alexandros's hand settled on my shoulder, the gesture casual but claiming. And when my chief ambassador faces danger, I make exceptions. The possessive touch wasn't lost on Damon. His eyes flashed wolf gold, a growl building in his chest. Your chief ambassador? Among other things. Alexandros smiled, and I realized with sinking certainty what he was about to do. You see, I've waited 5 years for Sarah to heal. To become the magnificent creature she was always meant to be. And now that she has. He turned to me, his expression softening. I'd like to formally court you, Sarah. With the intention of claiming you as my chosen mate and Luna Queen of the Eclipse Pack. The silence that followed was deafening. No. Damon's voice was barely human. Absolutely fucking not. I don't recall asking your permission, Alexandros replied mildly. Sarah is unmated. I'm unmated. We're both consenting adults who share a deep bond forged through mutual respect and years of partnership. She's the mother of my child. A child you've never met. Never held. Never tucked into bed or read stories to or kissed goodnight. Alexandros's words were cutting. A child I've had the honor of helping raise. Of teaching to shift. Of protecting when his biological father was too busy playing house with a murderess. Damon lunged. I moved on instinct, my platinum power erupting outward and freezing both Alpha Kings mid-motion. The air crackled with energy as I held them apart through sheer force of will. Both of you, stop. My voice carried the ring of command that even Alphas couldn't ignore. I am not a prize to be fought over. I'm not a possession to be claimed. And I sure as hell am not having this conversation at midnight with my son sleeping in the next room. Sarah, they both started. No. I released them but kept my power flowing, making it clear I could restrain them again if needed. Damon, you need to leave. We can discuss visitation arrangements for Kai through proper channels. But breaking into my quarters in the middle of the night? That ends now. I'm not leaving you with him, Damon snarled, glaring at Alexandros. You don't get to make that choice. I turned to Alexandros, softening slightly. And you, we'll talk about your proposal later. In private. When I've had time to think. Of course. Alexandros inclined his head gracefully. I've waited 5 years. I can wait a little longer. He shot Damon a look that was pure alpha dominance. Unlike some, I understand the value of patience. Get out, Damon growled. Before I forget, we're supposed to be allies. We're not allies, Alexandros corrected. We're rival kings with competing interests. The only thing keeping us from war is Sarah's diplomatic skills. He moved toward the door, then paused. Oh, and Blackthorn? You should know that the Eclipse Pack has formally recognized Kai as Sarah's heir. If anything happens to her, he becomes my ward. My responsibility. My heir. The implications hung in the air. Kai, raised as the Eclipse Pack's future alpha instead of the Northern Territory's heir. You can't do that, Damon said hoarsely. He's my son. Then perhaps you should have thought about that 5 years ago. Alexandros left, his exit as smooth as his entrance. I sagged against the wall, suddenly exhausted. The emotional whiplash of the day was catching up with me. You need to leave too, Damon. Not until we finish this conversation. There's nothing left to say tonight. I couldn't look at him. Just, go. Please. Sarah. Mama? We both froze. Kai stood in the bedroom doorway, rubbing his eyes with one small fist. His gaze landed on Damon, and he tilted his head with a child's curious assessment. Who are you? Kai asked. Damon's expression transformed. All the rage and possessiveness melted away, replaced by something raw and wondering. He crouched down slowly, making himself less intimidating. His voice cracked. I'm your father, Kai. Kai looked at me for confirmation. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Oh. Kai studied Damon with serious amber eyes, my eyes. Are you the one who made Mama sad? The question hit like a physical blow. I watched Damon flinch, watched pain flash across his features. Yes, he said quietly. I did. I made a very big mistake, and I hurt your mama. I'm trying to fix it, but He glanced at me helplessly. But I can't undo what I did. Uncle Alexandros says we can't fix yesterday, but we can try to make tomorrow better. Kai's wisdom, parroted from lessons he'd been taught, sounded strange in his small voice. Uncle Alexandros is a smart man, Damon said, though the words clearly cost him. He saved us. Kai moved closer to me, his small hand finding mine. When Mama was hurt, Uncle Alexandros found us. He took us home. He taught me how to be brave. He did. Damon's voice was hollow. Kai yawned hugely. Are you going to stay? Will you read me a story? The hope in his voice broke my heart. But before I could intervene, Damon spoke. Not tonight, son. But. He looked at me, pleading silently. Maybe tomorrow? If your mama says it's okay? Kai turned those big eyes on me. Can he, Mama? Please? I wanted to say no. Wanted to protect my baby from the man who'd abandoned him before he was even born. But looking at Kai's hopeful face, I couldn't do it. Tomorrow, I agreed reluctantly. Supervised visit. 1 hour. Thank you. Damon stood slowly, his eyes never leaving Kai. Thank you, Sarah. He moved toward the balcony door, then stopped. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know I can never undo what I did to you. But Kai, he deserves to know his father. Not the bastard who rejected his mother, but the man I'm trying to become. The man I should have been all along. Then he was gone, disappearing into the night as silently as he'd come. I gathered Kai into my arms, carrying him back to bed. As I tucked him in, he looked up at me with those two knowing eyes. Mama? Are you mad at my father? It's complicated, baby. Uncle Alexandros says when things are complicated, it means grown-ups don't know the answer. He yawned again, already drifting back to sleep. I think I want to know my father. But I don't want you to be sad anymore. I'll try not to be, I whispered, pressing a kiss to his forehead. But as I returned to my own room, I found Cade waiting with a grim expression and a tablet in his hands. We have a problem, he said without preamble. I was running intelligence on the rogue attack, tracking supply chains for the weapons they used. Sarah. He turned the tablet toward me. The silver-tipped claws? The Wolfsbane bombs? They were purchased through a shell company 6 months ago. And the company traces back to an account in Vivian's name. Ice flooded my veins. She's been planning this for months. It gets worse. He swiped to another screen. Remember that female rogue who took the poison pill? We identified her body. She was Vivian's cousin. Family. The rogue uprising. The pieces clicked into place with horrible clarity. It's not about destroying random packs. It's about creating chaos. About forcing a continental summit where she could, what? What's her endgame? I don't know yet. But Sarah? Cade's expression was deadly serious. If Vivian orchestrated a rogue attack on the Alpha Summit itself, if she's working with the Rogue King, we're not dealing with a jealous ex-Luna. We're dealing with someone planning a coup. I stared out at the moonlit forest, my mind racing. Vivian in custody. Damon wanting to reclaim what he'd lost. Alexandros openly courting me. Kai caught in the middle of it all. And somewhere in the shadows, a rogue king pulling strings toward an endgame I couldn't yet see. Double the guard on Kai, I ordered. And find out everything you can about Vivian's connection to the rogues. If there's a coup coming, we need to be ready. And Damon? I thought about the broken Alpha King, finally understanding what he'd thrown away. About the mate bond that could never be restored. About the son he'd never known, who now had 2 Alpha Kings competing for the right to be called father. Damon is the least of our problems, I said quietly. He can't command me. Can't claim me. Can't undo the past. All he can do is watch while I build a future that doesn't need him. But even as I said the words, I felt the ghost of our severed bond pulse weakly in my chest. A reminder that some connections, however broken, never fully die. They just hurt forever. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 5. The attack came at dawn. I woke to the sound of screams and the acrid smell of smoke. My wolf surged instantly alert, and I was moving before my conscious mind fully processed the danger. Kai's room, I had to get to Kai. But he was already awake, standing by his window with wide, frightened eyes. Mama, there are monsters outside. I looked past him and my blood turned to ice. The grounds of the Grand Crescent Hotel were swarming with rogues, but these weren't ordinary rogues. Their eyes glowed an unnatural red, their movements were coordinated and purposeful, and dark symbols had been carved into their flesh. Symbols that pulsed with sickly magic. Cursed wolves. Someone had used dark magic to create an army of cursed wolves. Cade! I shouted, already pulling Kai away from the window. We need to evacuate. The door burst open. Cade was there with 4 Eclipse warriors, all in defensive formation. The entire summit is under attack. Every hotel, every delegation quarters. This is coordinated. How many? I was already strapping on my combat gear, the reinforced clothing designed to withstand a shift without shredding. Hundreds. Maybe more. Cade's expression was grim. And Sarah? They're not attacking randomly. They're targeting specific wolves. High-value targets. Alphas. The realization hit me. They're trying to kill the Continental leadership in one strike. Which means Kai is a target. Theron's voice came through Cade's comm unit. Get him to the safe room. Now. But before we could move, the window exploded inward. 3 cursed wolves crashed through, their red eyes locked on Kai with predatory intensity. They'd found him already. I didn't hesitate. My partial shift ripped through me, platinum markings blazing as I threw myself between the rogues and my son. My claws caught the first attacker across the throat, and he dissolved into ash. The second I kicked with enough force to send him flying back through the broken window. The third got past me. Kai, run. I screamed, but my 4-year-old son stood frozen in terror as the cursed wolf lunged for him. Time seemed to slow. I was too far away. Cade was engaged with more rogues pouring through the door. There was no one close enough to save him. Then Kai did something impossible. He shifted. Not a full shift, he was too young for that. But power exploded from his small body, platinum light so bright it was nearly white. The cursed wolf flew backward as if struck by an invisible fist, smashing into the wall hard enough to crack stone. Kai stood there, his small hands glowing with platinum fire, his amber eyes blazing with power I'd never seen in a child. In any wolf, period. Mama? His voice was small, scared, confused. What's happening to me? Oh my gods, Cade breathed. He's not just platinum. He's pure platinum. I stared at my son in shock and terror. The first male platinum alpha in 300 years. Which made him the most valuable. And most endangered, wolf on the continent. We need to go, I said urgently, scooping Kai into my arms. His power was already fading, leaving him trembling and exhausted. Now. We fought our way through corridors filled with cursed wolves and panicked summit attendees. I lost count of how many rogues I killed. My platinum claws carved through cursed flesh like it was paper, but for every one I destroyed, 2 more appeared. This wasn't just an attack. This was an extermination attempt. We burst out of the hotel into chaos. The summit grounds had become a war zone. Wolves fought in every direction, delegates defending themselves, cursed rogues attacking with mindless fury, and everywhere the smell of blood and death. There. Theron's voice cut through the chaos. He stood at the center of a defensive formation, Eclipse Pack warriors forming a protective circle around him. Sarah, here. We ran. Cursed wolves converged from all sides, but Cade and the warriors cut them down. We were almost to safety when I felt it, the surge of malicious power from behind. I spun just in time to see Vivian materialize from the smoke and shadows. She should have been in custody. Should have been locked away in the manor's dungeons. But here she was, free and holding a weapon I recognized from ancient texts. A god-killer blade. Forged in dark magic, capable of permanently killing even the most powerful supernatural beings. And it was aimed at Kai. You took everything from me. Vivian shrieked, her face twisted with madness. My position, my mate, my future. So I'll take everything from you, starting with your bastard son. She threw the blade with preternatural speed and accuracy. It spun through the air, aimed directly at Kai's heart. I had a split second to make a choice. Dodge and let the blade strike my son, or... I threw myself in front of Kai, feeling the god-killer blade slam into my shoulder instead of his chest. Pain exploded through me, white-hot and absolute. The dark magic in the blade began spreading immediately, trying to shut down my organs, poison my blood, kill me from the inside out. But I was a platinum wolf. And platinum wolves didn't die easy. Mama. Kai's scream pierced through my agony. Take him, I gasped to Cade, forcing Kai into his arms even as my son fought to stay with me. Keep him safe. No matter what. Sarah, that blade. I know what it is. I pulled the god-killer from my shoulder with a snarl of pain. Dark blood, my blood, stained the cursed metal. Which is why I'm going to shove it down her throat. I looked at Vivian, and she actually took a step back. Whatever she saw in my face terrified her. Good. You wanted to see what a real platinum wolf can do? I let my power build, no longer holding anything back. Let me show you. My full shift tore through me, not the partial transformation I'd been using, but the complete metamorphosis. My bones reformed, my muscles expanded, my senses sharpened to supernatural levels. Platinum fur erupted across my body, shimmering like liquid metal in the dawn light. I stood on 4 legs, easily twice the size of a normal wolf. My platinum coat blazed with inner fire, and when I opened my jaws, power rolled out in visible waves. Around me, every wolf on the battlefield, ally and enemy alike, stopped fighting. They couldn't help it. The dominance radiating from me was absolute, undeniable. Even the cursed rogues, their minds twisted by dark magic, felt the compulsion to submit. I was the platinum wolf of legend. The creature alphas told stories about. The being that stood above all others in the hierarchy. And I was done playing nice. My howl split the dawn, carrying not just sound but command. Every cursed wolf on the battlefield collapsed, the dark magic animating them unable to withstand the purifying force of my power. They turned to ash where they lay, their corrupted souls finally released. The rogues that remained, those not cursed, just desperate and violent, took one look at me and ran. Smart choice. That left Vivian standing alone, her carefully orchestrated attack crumbling around her. No, she whispered. No, this isn't how it was supposed to go. The Rogue King promised. The Rogue King is dead. A new voice entered the fray. Damon emerged from the smoke, covered in blood and ash, dragging a massive corpse behind him. The Rogue King's head hung at an unnatural angle, his neck clearly broken. He made the mistake of targeting my son. Our eyes met across the battlefield, wolf to wolf. Damon had shifted as well, his massive black wolf was magnificent and powerful. But even he paled next to my platinum form. Even he felt the weight of my dominance. For a moment, I saw true understanding dawn in his eyes. This was what he'd rejected. This was the mate the moon goddess had given him, not a weak omega, but the most powerful wolf born in generations. And he'd thrown it away. Sarah, he said, and hearing my name in his wolf's voice sent shivers through me. You're everything you never believed I could be, I finished coldly. Vivian chose that moment to run. She was fast, I'd give her that. But not fast enough. I caught her in 3 bounds, my jaws closing around her leg and dragging her down. She screamed, clawing at the ground, trying desperately to escape. Around us, wolves gathered, alphas, delegates, warriors. They'd all stopped fighting to watch. Please, Vivian sobbed. Please, I didn't mean, I was desperate, you don't understand. I shifted back to human form, though my platinum marking still blazed with power. I understand perfectly. You cursed my bloodline. Tried to murder me. Stole my mate. And when that wasn't enough, you orchestrated an attack that killed dozens of innocent wolves. I crouched down beside her. What I don't understand is why you thought you'd get away with it. Because I'm smarter than you, she spat, her mask finally cracking completely. I planned everything perfectly. The curse, the rejection, the rogues, all of it was supposed to end with me as Supreme Luna and you dead. But you just wouldn't stay dead. Supreme Luna? Theron stepped forward, his expression calculating. There's no such position. There will be. Vivian laughed, the sound edging toward hysteria. Once the old order burns and the rogue king rebuilds it with me at his side. She stopped abruptly, realizing she'd said too much. The rogue king wanted to destroy the pack system, I said slowly, pieces clicking into place. Replace it with a new hierarchy. And you were going to rule beside him. I was going to rule, period. Vivian snarled. I've spent my entire life fighting for scraps of power, being told I was strong but not strong enough, beautiful but not beautiful enough, ambitious but too ambitious. I deserve to rule. You deserve a cell. Damon's voice was cold. For the rest of your very long, very miserable life. He gestured, and guards came to drag Vivian away. She fought and screamed and cursed, but no one was listening anymore. That's when I felt it. The shift in the air, the surge of wrong magic. And Kai's terrified scream, "Mama!" I spun to find a lone cursed wolf, one I'd somehow missed in the purge, lunging for the Eclipse Pack's defensive formation. For Kai, who stood in the center, unprotected for just one crucial second. Damon moved faster than I thought possible. His massive wolf form intercepted the attack, taking the cursed claws across his throat instead of letting them reach Kai. No. The word tore from my throat as Damon collapsed, blood pumping from the vicious wounds. I destroyed the cursed wolf without thought, my claws ripping through its skull. Then I was at Damon's side, my hands pressed against his torn throat, trying desperately to stop the bleeding. But these were cursed wounds. They wouldn't heal normally. The dark magic was already spreading through his system, shutting down his organs one by one. He was dying. Damon, stay with me. My voice cracked. You don't get to do this. You don't get to play hero and die. Not now. Not like this. His eyes found mine, already fading. He tried to speak, but only blood bubbled up. Sarah. Theron was beside me, his expression grave. You could heal him. Your platinum wolf has that ability. I know. My hands trembled against Damon's throat. But the cost. We'll create a permanent bond, Theron finished quietly. Even more powerful than a fated mate bond. You'll be connected for life. His pain will be yours. His death will be yours. You'll never truly be free of him. I stared down at the man who'd destroyed me. The mate who'd rejected me. The father who'd abandoned his son before he was ever born. The man who'd just sacrificed himself to save that son. Kai pushed through the crowd, tears streaming down his face. Mama, please. Please save him. He's my father. Please don't let him die. My son's anguished plea shattered something inside me. I looked at Damon, really looked at him. Saw the regret in his dying eyes. The love for his son he'd never known. The understanding of everything he'd lost. Damn you, I whispered. Damn you for making me care. I called on the deepest part of my power, the healing ability that only true platinum wolves possessed. Platinum light exploded from my hands, pouring into Damon's wounds. I felt the dark curse fighting me, trying to kill us both. But I was stronger. I was platinum fire and moonlight, and the rage of 5 years compressed into pure power. The cursed magic burned away. Damon's wounds closed. His heart, which had stopped, stuttered back to life. And between us, I felt the bond snap into place. Not the gentle connection of a fated bond, but something fierce and unbreakable. Our souls intertwined, our lives linked, our fates bound together until death. I collapsed beside him, drained to the point of near unconsciousness. Healing a cursed wound took everything I had. Sarah. Damon's hand found mine, his grip weak but there. Thank you. I don't deserve. No, you don't. I cut him off harshly. You don't deserve my mercy. Don't deserve a second chance. Don't deserve to know your son. I forced myself to meet his eyes. But Kai deserves a father. And I'm tired of carrying hate. I'll spend my life making this right, he swore. You'll spend your life proving you've changed, I corrected. This bond? It's on my terms. I saved you, which means you owe me. You want to be part of Kai's life? You earn it. Day by day, choice by choice. And if you ever make me regret this decision, you'll destroy me, he finished quietly. I know. And it would be exactly what I deserve. A commotion rippled through the crowd. Elder Marcus pushed forward, accompanied by the other summit elders. They all stared at me with expressions mixing awe and something that looked like fear. Ambassador Ashwood, Marcus said formally. What you've done today, destroying the cursed army, saving the Alpha King, revealing your true power, it cannot be ignored or dismissed. I did what anyone would do, I said tiredly. Defended innocence. Protected my son. You did what no one else could do. Another elder stepped forward, a woman I recognized as Elder Thea, one of the most respected wolves on the continent. You commanded the battlefield. Made even alphas submit. Your power exceeds any we've encountered in living memory. Which is why, Marcus continued, the Continental Council wishes to offer you a position that has never been held by a female. A position that hasn't existed for over 2 centuries. I had a sinking feeling I knew where this was going. What position? Supreme Alpha. Elder Thea's voice rang with formal authority. Ruler over all packs. Commander of the Continental Defense. Ultimate arbiter in disputes. You would stand above all Alpha Kings and Queens, including, she glanced at Damon, your bonded mate. Shocked silence fell. This was unprecedented. The Supreme Alpha position had been held by males exclusively, and even then, only in times of great crisis. The last Supreme Alpha had died in the Great Pack Wars, and the position had been abolished. Until now. You're asking me to rule the entire continent? I stared at them in disbelief. I'm 28 years old. I was considered defective until 5 years ago. There are alphas with decades more experience. None of whom could do what you did today, Marcus interrupted gently. Sarah, you single-handedly ended an attack that would have destroyed our leadership. You purged cursed magic from an entire army. You healed wounds that should have been fatal. And your son, he glanced at Kai, is the first male platinum alpha in centuries. His very existence marks a new era. The bloodlines have spoken, Elder Thea said. The moon goddess has made her choice clear. You are the one meant to lead us into the future. I looked around at all the faces watching me. Alphas who'd dismissed me. Delegates who'd underestimated me. Warriors who'd thought me weak. And now they were all waiting to see if I'd accept ultimate power over them. My gaze found Damon. He was struggling to sit up, his hands still holding mine through the bond that now connected us permanently. If you accept, he said quietly, I would be honored to stand beside you. Not above you as your king, but as your equal. Your partner. Your subordinate, I finished firmly. If I take this position, I bow to no one. Not even you. Something that might have been pride flickered in his eyes. As it should be. Mama? Kai's small hand tugged on my arm. Are you going to be the boss of everyone? Despite everything, I almost smiled. It seems so, baby. Cool, he said solemnly. Does that mean I'm a prince? Something like that. I looked at Elder Marcus, at the expectant faces of the Continental Council. 5 years ago, I'd been nothing. Less than nothing. A defective Omega left to die. Now they were offering me everything. I accept, I said clearly. On my terms. The packs will be reformed. No more casting out those deemed defective. No more treating Omegas as less than. No more prioritizing bloodlines over ability. We build something better, or we don't build at all. Agreed, Marcus said without hesitation. Whatever you require, Supreme Alpha. Supreme Alpha. The title settled on my shoulders like a mantle of platinum fire. Heavy, powerful, and absolutely mine. I stood slowly, helping Damon to his feet beside me. He swayed, still weak from near death, but his grip on my hand was steady. The first order of the Supreme Alpha, I announced, my voice carrying across the battlefield, is that we honor our dead, tend our wounded, and rebuild what was destroyed. Then we hunt down every remaining conspirator in Vivian's plot. No one who participated in this attack goes unpunished. Yes, Supreme Alpha, came the chorus of voices. As the wolves dispersed to begin the massive cleanup effort, Alexandros appeared at my elbow. His silver eyes held a mixture of pride and sadness. I suppose this means you won't be accepting my courtship offer, he said wryly. I'm bonded now, I said apologetically. The healing created a permanent connection. I know. He glanced at Damon with barely concealed dislike. Though if you ever need me to dispose of problematic bonded mates, you have only to ask. Alexandros. I'm joking. He wasn't, entirely. But Sarah? You were never really mine to claim. From the moment I found you dying at that border, I knew you were destined for something greater than being anyone's mate. Even mine. He pressed a kiss to my forehead. The Eclipse Pack will always be your home. Always be your family. Kai's too. Thank you, I whispered. For everything. For saving us. For raising him. For seeing my worth when no one else did. The world sees it now, he said simply. Then he was gone, melting back into the crowd of Eclipse Pack warriors. Damon watched him go with an expression I couldn't quite read. He loves you. He saved me, I corrected. There's a difference. Is there? I looked at him fully for the first time since healing him. Studied the face I'd once loved desperately. You and I are bound now. Bonded in a way that can't be broken. But Damon? I let him see the steel beneath my words. That doesn't mean I trust you. Doesn't mean I forgive you. It just means I chose mercy over vengeance. Don't make me regret it. I won't, he swore. Sarah, I know I don't deserve a second chance. But I'll spend every day proving I've changed. Proving I can be the mate you deserve. The father Kai deserves. Actions, I said simply. Not words. Show me. Kai ran up to us then, throwing his arms around both our legs and nearly toppling us. Can we go home now? I'm tired. Soon, baby. I ruffled his hair, my heart clenching at how close I'd come to losing him today. We have a lot to figure out first. Do I have to learn boring alpha stuff now? Kai wrinkled his nose. Uncle Alexandros says being an alpha is mostly meetings and paperwork. Damon laughed, actually laughed, and the sound hit me harder than I expected. He's not wrong. But there's more to it than that. I could, if you want. I could teach you. Kai looked up at him with those serious amber eyes. Will you teach me the fun stuff or the boring stuff? Both. That's what being an alpha means. Okay. Kai nodded like this was a business transaction. But if the boring stuff is too boring, I'm going back to Uncle Alexandros. Fair enough, Damon agreed, his voice thick with emotion. I watched them, my mate and my son, beginning the tentative first steps of building a relationship. It wouldn't be easy. There was too much hurt, too much history. But maybe, just maybe, we could find a way forward. As Supreme Alpha, I would rebuild the pack system. Make it better, fairer, stronger. As a mother, I would protect my son from those who'd see his power as a tool or a threat. And as Damon's bonded mate, whether I liked it or not, I would give him the chance to prove he'd changed. But I would bow to no one. Not anymore. The Platinum Wolf had risen. And the world would never be the same. Epilogue, the prophecy revealed. 3 months later. The formal coronation was everything I'd never wanted, elaborate, public, and full of ceremony. But Elder Marcus had insisted. The wolves needed to see their new Supreme Alpha. Needed to witness the beginning of a new era. So I stood in the grand hall of what was now called Unity Manor, wearing ceremonial robes of platinum and white. Kai stood at my right hand, his small frame radiating the power he was still learning to control. Damon stood at my left, no longer Alpha King but my sworn protector and bonded mate. He'd kept his word. 3 months of proving himself, day by day. 3 months of being a father to Kai, of respecting my boundaries, of supporting my rule without trying to take control. It wasn't perfect. We still fought. Still had moments where the old hurt rose up between us. But he was trying. And slowly, so slowly, I was learning to let him in again. Sarah Ashwood, Elder Marcus intoned, his voice echoing through the hall. Do you swear to protect all packs, all wolves, all beings under your domain? I do. Do you swear to rule with justice, mercy, and wisdom? I do. Then by the power vested in the Continental Council, I declare you Supreme Alpha of the Wolf Kingdoms. He lifted the crown, a delicate thing of platinum and moonstone, and placed it on my head. May the moon goddess guide your reign. The assembled wolves dropped to one knee as one. The gesture of ultimate respect and submission. I looked out at them. Alphas, betas, omegas, all bowing before the woman they'd once considered too weak to acknowledge. The irony wasn't lost on me. Rise, I commanded, and they obeyed. I accept this position not because I seek power, but because I see what we can become. Together, we will build a future where strength is measured not just in physical power, but in compassion, intelligence, and courage. Where no wolf is cast aside for being different. Where every voice matters. Applause thundered through the hall. I'd given similar speeches over the past 3 months, but this was the formal declaration. The official beginning of my reign. As the ceremony concluded and wolves began filtering toward the reception, Elder Thea approached me. Her expression was grave. Supreme Alpha, there's something you need to see. Something we discovered in the ancient archives while researching the Platinum Wolf bloodline. She led me to a private room where a single book lay open on a table. The pages were yellow with age, the writing in an archaic script I could barely read. What is this? I asked. A prophecy, Thea said quietly. Written over 1,000 years ago by the moon goddess's first oracle. She pointed to a passage. It speaks of a silver phoenix, a wolf of platinum fire who will be born in darkness and rise to unite or destroy the wolf kingdoms. My blood ran cold. Silver phoenix? That's not all. Thea turned the page. The prophecy says the silver phoenix will bear the mark of the divine. She gestured to the distinctive platinum markings on my arms, and her bloodline will trace directly to the moon goddess herself. That's impossible. The moon goddess is a deity who walked among mortals once, long ago, Thea interrupted. Who took a wolf mate and bore children. Her direct descendants were thought to have died out centuries ago, but... She looked at me meaningfully. What if they didn't? What if they were just hidden? Cursed to appear weak so no one would know what they truly were? The implications crashed over me. My cursed bloodline. My Omega status. All of it designed to hide what I really was. Not just a platinum wolf, but a direct descendant of the moon goddess herself. The prophecy continues, Thea said, turning another page. It says the Silver Phoenix will face a choice: unite the wolf kingdoms under one rule, bringing peace and prosperity. Or destroy them entirely, returning the world to chaos. That's some prophecy, I said weakly. There's more. Thea's finger traced the final lines. It says the Phoenix's son will inherit both her divine power and his father's alpha strength, becoming the first of a new breed. And together, mother and son will either save or end the world. I looked through the doorway to where Kai was laughing with Damon, the two of them finally building the relationship they should have had from the start. My son. The first male platinum alpha. Destined for greatness or destruction, depending on the choices we made. What do I do with this information? I asked quietly. Whatever you think best, Supreme Alpha. Thea closed the book. The prophecy is known only to the Elder Council. We can keep it secret, or... We keep it secret, I decided immediately. Kai is 4 years old. He doesn't need the weight of prophecy on his shoulders. And I touched the crown on my head. I already have enough pressure. Wise decision. Thea paused at the door. Though Supreme Alpha? The prophecy also says the Silver Phoenix's greatest power comes from her heart. That love, not hate, will determine whether she saves or destroys. Remember that. Then she was gone, leaving me alone with ancient words and impossible destinies. I stared at the book for a long moment, then closed it firmly. Prophecy or not, descendant of the moon goddess or not, I was still just Sarah. A woman who'd survived the impossible and come out stronger. A mother protecting her son. A leader trying to do right by her people. The future could wait. Right now, I had a coronation reception to attend. I returned to the hall to find Damon waiting. Our eyes met across the room, and through our bond, I felt his pride, his love, his absolute devotion. He wasn't perfect. Neither was I. But we were trying. And maybe that was enough. Mama. Kai ran up, his face bright with excitement. Did you know there's chocolate cake? And Uncle Alexandros says I can have 2 pieces. Just 1 piece, I corrected, earning a pout. You'll make yourself sick. But it's your coronation. Which means I get to make the rules. I ruffled his hair. 1 piece of cake. Final answer. Kai grumbled but accepted it, running back to where Alexandros waited with an amused expression. Damon slipped his hand into mine. Ready for this, Supreme Alpha? I looked out at the gathered wolves. At the kingdom I now ruled. At the son who might someday save or destroy the world. At the mate I'd never expected to have again. No, I admitted. But I'll do it anyway. That's all anyone can ask. He squeezed my hand. And Sarah? Whatever comes next. Whatever this prophecy means. We'll face it together. I looked at him, really looked at the man he'd become. Not the arrogant alpha king who'd rejected me, but someone humbled, changed, determined to be better. Together, I agreed. And as we walked into the reception, the Silver Phoenix and her redeemed mate, I felt the weight of destiny settling around me. The prophecy was real. My bloodline was divine. My son was the key to everything. But I was also still me. Sarah Ashwood. The Omega who became a platinum wolf. The rejected mate who became Supreme Alpha. The woman who'd risen from the ashes of her own destruction to become legend. And my story? It was only just beginning. The chronicles of the Silver Phoenix, Supreme Alpha of the Wolf Kingdoms, would be told for generations. How she united the packs, reformed the hierarchy, and brought peace to a fractured world. But that's a tale for another time. This story? This story was about a woman who refused to stay broken. Who took all the pain, all the rejection, all the suffering, and transformed it into power. Who proved that strength comes in many forms. And who showed the world that sometimes, the ones they dismiss as weak are actually the strongest of all. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.